Hello there, this is Dr. Minidhavan, and today I have brought CBSE Class 9 topic Constitutional Design, Part 2. In my last video, we have discussed about the circumstances in which Constitution was made. Today we will discuss why we should accept the Constitution made by the Constituent Assembly more than 70 years ago. We will read about the members of the Constituent Assembly, who were they, and then we will also be talking about the preamble of the Constitution. So the question in our hand is, why should we accept the Constitution framed nearly 70 years ago by the Constituent Assembly? Constitution, it does not only reflect the views of its members alone. It expresses a broad consensus. Consensus means a viewpoint or agreement of the people of its time. Many countries of the world, they had to rewrite their constitution. They had to rewrite the constitution as it was, not accepted by all major social groups or the political parties. In some countries, the constitution, it exists as a mere piece of paper, only a formality. So no one actually follows it. The experience of Indian constitution, it has been a different one. Over the last 70 years, several groups have questioned certain provisions of the constitution, but no large social group or political party has ever questioned the legitimacy of the constitution itself. So this is an unusual achievement for any of the constitutions. So first reason why we should accept a constitution made 70 years ago is like everybody in the country is happy with it. They do not want changes. Little bit changes here and there, that is a need of the time. Those changes are being done. Secondly, the Constituent Assembly, it represented the people of India. There was no universal adult franchise at that time. Universal adult franchise, what is that? It means every adult of the country is having the right to vote. So that time there was no universal adult franchise when the constitution was being made. So the Constituent Assembly could not have chosen directly by all the people of India. So how was it chosen then? It was elected. It was elected by whom? It was elected mainly by the members of the existing provincial legislature. So the members of the provincial legislature, they chose the Constituent Assembly. They voted for them. So this ensured a fair geographical share of member from all the regions of the country. The assembly represented members from different languages, groups, caste, classes, religions and occupations. Our constitution has granted basic rights and freedom to all the citizens. Any kind of discrimination is illegal, and minority communities are given protection from any kind of discrimination. So this is very important, the provision which makes our constitution valid, that we are taking care of all the people in the country, even the minorities. Now, the Constituent Assembly, it worked in a systematic, open and consensual manner. It was a systematic manner and it was an open one also, open one for the discussions and debates. So several rounds of thorough discussions, they took place on the draft constitution. Every clause that was like debated, clause by clause, point by point, everything was like discussed. So more than 2000 amendments were considered. 2000 changes they were done at that point of time in the basic draft also. So every document was presented and every word which was spoken in the Constituent Assembly, that was recorded and that was preserved also. So these are called the Constituent Assembly debates, and these were printed also later. And these debates, when they were printed, they were 12 bulky volumes. So these debates, they provide the rationale behind every provision of the constitution. So these are often used to interpret the meaning of the constitution. Also at present also we use them many a times. It gives us a viewpoint what the makers of the constitution they thought about, that what kind of constitution should be there, what kind of rights should be given to the people of the country. So everything is there, it gives a rationale to it. So Indian constitution, when it can be amended, it can be changed, so we call it a living document also. Indian constitution is a living document. Those who crafted the Indian constitution, they felt that it had to be in accordance with the people's aspirations and the changes in the society. They did not see it as any sacred, static and unalterable law. So they made certain provision to incorporated changes from time to time. These changes, they are called constitutional amendments, and till date we have done 104 amendments. They have been made in the constitution. The amendment procedure provided in the constitution is like of three types. Three categories of amendments are there. The first category or the first type of amendment which can be done, that can be done by simple majority only. The simple majority of members who are present and voting. And after that, that particular change or that amendment is sent to president for his assent. Now second category, in this amendment they required a special type of majority. Earlier it was simple majority, means 50 plus 1, and now it is special majority. Now such an amendment, it can be passed by each house of parliament by the 2/3 majority of the members of the house present and voting, and then it is sent to the president. Now it means that 2/3 majority present and voting in both the houses of parliament, means Lok Sabha also and in Rajya Sabha also. And the third category of amendment is actually a very difficult one. If we have to change the basic infrastructure of the constitution, so we have to we'll have to have this kind of procedure. Now besides the special majority which I have mentioned earlier, apart from that, I told you that the second category in which there is like 2/3 majority present and voting in both the houses of the parliament. Apart from that, it has to be approved by at least 50% of the state legislature which will be present at that time. Okay, so this is a very difficult one, means they have to approved by so many legislatures. It is a difficult method. Now we will be talking about some of the members of the Constituent Assembly, who were they and what role they played. Vallabhbhai Patel, better known as Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel or the Iron Man of India, he was first Home Minister of India and he played a very prominent role in Bardoli Satyagraha. We normally understand it by Ahmedabad Satyagraha. Then Abul Kalam Azad, he was the first Education Minister of India and he opposed the Muslim separatist politics, the politics in which Muslims are being separated from the mainstream. So he was against that, he opposed it. Then T.T. Krishnamachari was there, he was the finance minister and he was an entrepreneur also. Dr. Rajendra Prasad, he was the first president of India and he was lawyer by profession. Jaipal Singh, he was a sportsman and he was an educationist also. He was captain of Indian hockey team. He was also founder of Adivasi Mahasabha. H.C. Mukherjee, he was vice chairman of Constituent Assembly and later became the governor of Bengal. Durgabai Deshmukh. Durgabai Deshmukh, she was the founder of Andhra Mahila Sabha and she worked for women emancipation. Women emancipation means the upliftment of women. Baldev Singh, he was an entrepreneur and was the defense minister in the Union Cabinet. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, we all know him as the father of Indian Constitution. He was the chairman of the drafting committee, he was the chairman of the drafting assembly and he denounced the caste system and was the first law minister of independent India. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, he was minister in West Bengal, and later he founded Janasangh, which after that it became the parent organization from Bharatiya Janata Party also, and he was close to Hindu Mahasabha also. Some other members were Sarojini Naidu, Jawaharlal Nehru, Somnath Lahiri, and K.M. Mushi. So these were certain important members who were there in the Constituent Assembly of India. Now, certain guiding values of the Indian Constitution are there, which are enshrined in the Constitution, which are enshrined, I would say, in the preamble of the Constitution. To understand the overall philosophy of what our Constitution is all about, we should read the views of some of our major leaders on our Constitution, and also read what the Constitution says. Constitution, what does it says about its own philosophy? So this is what the preamble to the Constitution does. And there were many members who followed the vision of Mahatma Gandhi in the Constituent Assembly, and this dream of an India that has to eliminate inequality, it was shared by Dr. Ambedkar, who played a key role in the making of the Constitution, but his vision of removing inequalities from India was different from Gandhiji. So his contribution to the Constitution, we cannot do away with it. Now, what does Constitution says? Indian Constitution, the values that inspired and guided the freedom struggle and were in turn nurtured by it formed the foundation for India's democracy. The values embedded in the preamble of the Indian Constitution are, we will be discussing about them. This is a preamble of the Constitution, which you can see on the screen. The preamble to the Constitution of India, what is it? It's a brief description, brief introductory statement that sets out guidelines for the people of the nation and present the principles of the Constitution. Now, preamble starts with, "We the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic, and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation." In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves this Constitution. So the Constitution starts with, "We the people of India." We the people of India, it means, it tells that the Constitution, it has been drawn up and it has been enacted by the people of India through their representatives, and it's not handed down to them by any king or any outside power, as we were being ruled by Britishers for a very long period of time. So it was not handed to the people of India by Britishers, it was made by the people of India. So it says, "We the people of India." So that becomes very important. We have derived this line from American Constitution, "We the people of India." Now next is the important term, if you can see, that is sovereign. Sovereign means that people have the supreme right to make decisions on internal as well as external matters. Internal matters means within the country, if there are certain matters in hand. So government, it doesn't have to look towards another country or another people. They are all supreme to make laws in the country, internal matters, as well as external matters. They are not, they do not have to seek permission from anybody else. They are all sovereign. The government is all sovereign. No external power can dictate the government of India. It is a supreme authority to make law in India. Then the next term is socialist. Socialist means that people have the supreme right to make decisions. They have to right to make decisions on internal uh, sorry they have socialist means that wealth is generated socially and it should be shared equally by society. The government should regulate the ownership of land and industry to reduce the socio-economic inequalities. So, the government should work for the upliftment of downtrodden sections of the society. And next word is secular. Secular, this means citizen. They have complete freedom to follow any religion. But there is no official religion of the country. The government treats all religious beliefs and practices with equal respect. So we don't have any official religion of India, and neither we discourage or neither we encourage any religion in India, and people are free to follow any religion. Next term is democratic, a form of government where people enjoy equal political rights, elect their rulers and hold them accountable, meaning they are answerable to the people of the country. The government is it runs according to certain basic rules which are there in the constitution, and the constitution of India is made by the people of India, and that is what democratic government is like. Rule of the people, and it is ruled for the people, and it is ruled by the people. So democracy is a very important thing which is provided by the constitution. Next is republic. Republic means the head of the state. It is head of the state is elected person. It is not by any hereditary post. It is an elected person, and it is elected for a fixed period of time, and the position is like every time when election is there, a person is chosen. He may stay for 2 terms, but again after 2 terms again a new election will be there and the person will be changed. So it will the person will not be coming from any family. It will not be a hereditary position like the rulers, they keep on coming from one dynasty only. So the head of state means president of India is an elected person. Next is justice. Citizens, they cannot be discriminated against on the grounds of caste, religion and gender. No discrimination on the basis of caste and religion and gender also. We have gender discrimination also, so that is also not to be followed. Social inequalities have to be reduced. The government should work for the welfare of all, especially for the disadvantaged groups, means the groups which are not able to get advantages, which are not able to get the basic minimum needs of life. So those people, they will be treated equally. They will be getting justice. Liberty, there is no unreasonable restriction on the citizens in what they think, how they wish to express their thoughts, and the way they wish to follow up their thoughts in action. So liberty of expression, speech and thought is there. Equality, all are equal before law. The traditional social equalities have to be ended. The government should ensure equal opportunity for all, for everybody. A person can come from any particular section of the society, so everybody will be treated equal. Fraternity, all of us should behave as if we are member of the same family. No one should treat a fellow citizen as an inferior. We all people living in the country, we should be having brotherhood. So bhaichara, so everybody is equal. We are supposed to live with peace, equality and justice should be provided to all. So these are certain basic principles which have been given in the preamble of the constitution. It's an introductory page which tells the gist of the constitution. What is there in the constitution, it tells all. So constitution is not merely a statement of values and philosophy. It is mainly about embodying these values into the institutional arrangements also. It is a very long and detailed document. I have told you earlier that it is the longest written constitution of the world. And we have done, detailed, discussion about each and everything so that there may not be any controversies later. Therefore, it needs to be amended quite regularly to keep it updated. Provisions are made to do changes. They are called constitutional amendments, as I have told you earlier also, and from time to time we have done so many. 104 we have done till now, till date. Like any other constitution, the Indian constitution, it lays down the procedure of choosing persons to govern the country. It defines who will have how much power and what decisions can a particular person take, and it puts limit to what the government can do by providing certain rights to the citizens that cannot be violated. So this was the end of the chapter. We'll come up again with a new topic. Till then, keep learning, keep revising.